Boris Johnson slams Keir Starmer's Chagos Islands deal as a colossal mistake. Former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has launched a fierce criticism of current Prime Minister Keir Starmer's decision to transfer sovereignty of the Chagos Islands in the Indian Ocean to Mauritius. Johnson labelled the move as a colossal mistake driven by left-wing political correctness. He argued that the decision weakens Britain's global standing and makes the nation appear weak and pathetic. The Chagos archipelago, situated in the middle of the Indian Ocean, has been under British control since 1814. It is one of the UK's overseas territories, but its sovereignty has been the subject of long-standing international disputes. Mauritius has persistently claimed sovereignty over the islands, citing rulings from the United Nations and the International Court of Justice (ICJ). In October 2024, the UK government, under Keir Starmer's leadership, announced a historic agreement to transfer sovereignty of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius, while retaining a 99-year lease on the strategically vital Diego Garcia military base. Boris Johnson's criticism and strategic concerns. Boris Johnson, who previously served as the UK Prime Minister, expressed strong opposition to the deal. He described it as an unnecessary surrender that risks forfeiting a strategically important asset. Johnson warned that the transfer could pave the way for foreign powers, particularly China, to gain a foothold in the region due to its close ties with Mauritius. According to him, such developments could directly undermine the security of the Diego Garcia military base. Diego Garcia, the largest island in the Chagos archipelago, hosts a major joint military base operated by the United States and the UK. It is one of the most critical strategic outposts for Western powers, playing a pivotal role in monitoring the Indian Ocean and surrounding regions. Johnson argued that ceding control of the Chagos Islands undermines Keir Starmer's defense of the deal. Prime Minister Keir Starmer defended the agreement, emphasizing that it seeks to resolve one of the UK's longest-standing territorial disputes while preserving strategic interests in the region. He assured that the 99-year lease on Diego Garcia is sufficient to secure military and security operations vital to both the UK and the US. Starmer also highlighted that the agreement addresses historical injustices faced by the Chagosian people, who were displaced from the islands in the 1960s and 1970s to facilitate the establishment of the military base. Returning sovereignty to Mauritius is seen as a significant step toward rectifying the displacement of Chagosians, many of whom have lived in exile for decades. International implications and potential consequences. The decision to transfer the Chagos Islands to Mauritius has sparked reactions both domestically and internationally. Observers suggest that this move could set a precedent for other territorial disputes. For instance, Argentina has seized the opportunity to renew its claims over the Falkland Islands, viewing the Chagos Agreement as a sign that the UK may be retreating from its commitment to defending overseas territories. Furthermore, other nations have expressed concerns about China potentially exploiting this development to expand its influence in the Indian Ocean. Mauritius' close relationship with Beijing raises the possibility that the region could become a new hotspot for geopolitical competition among global powers. Historical and legal background of the dispute. The sovereignty dispute over the Chagos archipelago has spanned decades. In 1965, 3 years before Mauritius gained independence, the UK separated Chagos from Mauritius to establish the British Indian Ocean Territory, BIOT. This move was later condemned as illegal by the United Nations and other international organizations. In 2019, the International Court of Justice, ICJ, issued a landmark advisory opinion, declaring that the detachment of Chagos from Mauritius violated international law. The ICJ called on the UK to end its administration of the archipelago. However, the UK government at the time rejected the ICJ ruling, arguing that the issue of Chagos sovereignty fell outside the court's jurisdiction. Diverging opinions on the deal. Keir Starmer's decision has divided public opinion in the UK. Some supporters argue that transferring sovereignty to Mauritius is a necessary step to address historical wrongs and comply with international law. However, critics, including Boris Johnson and several Conservative MPs, contend that the deal compromises Britain's global influence and strategic security. The agreement also raises broader questions about how the UK manages its overseas territories. Critics fear that this decision may weaken confidence among international allies in the UK's commitment to protecting its strategic assets. Conclusion: the decision to transfer sovereignty of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius marks a significant shift in UK foreign policy. While the Starmer government views the agreement as a balanced resolution of strategic and historical issues, it has sparked intense debate and raised potential geopolitical challenges. As the implications unfold, the future of Diego Garcia and Western military presence in the Indian Ocean will remain a focal point of international attention.